the top, bottom. Even you can go like a square because we can place the body into this square shape. And then try to make it look like round shape, like a circle. Go on back. Feel free to do drawing like this. Even with paint. You can do with paint the same, with acrylic paint, I mean, because we will come back with the water, with the background color and cover all these details. But in watercolor, I recommend to, after you finish drawing, just make clean the edges. So this is a big circle shape for body. Now I don't need this line. As I mentioned about the circle, the square shape, I just erase those lines. And then mention about the head. The head is like an oval shape on top. So one oval shape as a simple shape, place it on top of the circle. Then we will make it accurate. So the face is not come out like this oval shape. We need to connect these two together by a nice curve line and then reach the side by another curve like convex and concave like this. So we just use the oval shape to know about the top of the head first, and then the back is okay. We can move on, continue, make the head a little bit even bigger, and then connect it to the body with nice C-curve line. Again, back and erase the line that you don't need it anymore. Even inside the face, we need to erase this. So this is whole shape modeling of the bird. Always you can fix your drawing, no worries, even with any material you work. If you work with acrylic, you can bring the background color and fix the shape. If you work with like drawing by watercolor, you can always erase the line. So this is about the whole shape. Now the features is a small eye, and then this beak is visible here. And then the separation between the colors. I don't want to use this transition. We will go by paint for that. Just mention about this dark color of the head and then separate it from the rest of the red color. So it shows that something like here, come down like this, and then connect this way. This is all about this dark color that we see. With simple line, I just divide it. And then I would like to place the eye. The eye, if you see, if I make it bigger, it's just on the center, a little bit toward the right, toward left, toward the face actually, not the head part. So I try to place it like that. This is good for the eye. And then the beak is big and long triangle shape on this way, tiny triangle on this way. And that's it. There is a nice tail here and two feet that it shows that hold on top of the branch. So I imagine this is about the tail with two angle line from the bottom of the body, then connect them like this. We can make it accurate just a bit with this two lines that reach each other. I don't need to do drawing of the foot actually now. We can do it later. Just mention about the place. I'm happy with it. Just like that, not more than this. This is about the cute bird that we need to have. it placed on center of the paper or canvas. And I'm going to start with the background first, and then add the branch, and on top is the bird and then the fruit. So this is the brown color I want to have. It's burnt umber, the dark brown. If you have Van Dyke, if you have burnt umber, would be a good choice to use. And just bring more and more with the water. Let it be washy and loose like this. That's good for this part we need to have. So first of all, I mentioned wet the paper. With a clean water, bigger size of brush, I try to wet all this paper. If you work with 25% cotton, it's better wet half a paper and then the other half, because when you work on this part, the other part is get dry. Please not come inside the bird. We need to keep it as a clean of a paper. More water. So now my paper is shiny and really wet. It's a good time to add the paint on top. As I mentioned, I'm not adding any paint here. I just diluted whole the hair of brush and try to apply around the bird with this really light color. In watercolor, we start with very light color at the beginning, and layer by layer, we add the dark color on top. But in acrylic, it's different. We work by really dark color first, and then add the light color on top. Move on to the right side. I just start to apply around the bird to separate that. A little bit move to the right to have lighter tone, but still it's really light. But the edge, I want to disappear. You see, I just move on with creamy color. It's so light. And I'm going to use with the bigger size of brush. It's number 12. But different company has different size. It doesn't need to just go with the 12 number. Sometimes the 10 is big, sometimes 14 is big, it's okay. Just a bigger size of brush would be fine. So I just go with whole this browny creamy color everywhere, and I just keep this part white. I don't want to let the paper be dry. I just move on with the pure brown first. It's wet. Bring pure brown a little bit. I would like to have just a bit darker somewhere. This is for watercolor, but for acrylic, I mentioned that we need two creamy browny color. The one which is darker is good for this part. Randomly add some brush stroke on the right side of the paper and then leave it get dry. Center diluted, hold the hair of brush into that, but I'm not adding a lots of water. If you add a lots of water in the paint, you can have this lighter tone. Less water, more pigment, give us dark brown. But still, it's not much dark, same as the one that I want. So it's burnt umber. Burnt umber is not much dark, but Van Dyke, it's too dark. If I want to make it darker, I'm adding the blue here. This is, what's the name? Ultramarine blue, ultramarine French blue. I use this one in watercolor to make it darker. But in acrylic, you can use a touch of black or even this ultramarine. Both are the same. So now it's really, really dark. Hold the hair of brush. I want to draw with the tip of my brush. Very gently start adding the paint on top of the hair, just the part which is dark. Very less water is okay to add. Always have a napkin in your hand to touch the brush. Control the amount of water. Even if you want to make it lighter in watercolor, you can touch it by napkin very gently when it's wet and let it be a little bit lighter on the center. In acrylic, we do just a little bit white color on the center, lighter color. Then move down. On the edge, I don't want to go look like the clean and fresh line. It's the bird. So the fairy hair should be visible. I just go with the tip, a little bit go out to the background. Very less, not much. To get rid of the clean, circly edge. Then move down. And then after this, a little bit on the chest, a little dark color we need to apply. And then move on with the pure red color. I have enough water in my brush, so they fade together very nice. My brush is not very wet and it's not very dry, something in between. And just play with your stroke like that because we need to show that these are the feathers. So the bird is not really clean. The feathers should be visible. So you can play with your brush, make it a little bit, make a texture with that. And then clean the brush, move on with the orange. Play like this. I just go with the brush stroke like that to play with my texture. And keep this tiny bit part as a white. That's cool. So if you work with acrylic, right away you need to add the white color and get rid of these edges, this hard edge. But in watercolor, we are not adding any white. We need this part to be completely white as a paper. I just clean the brush, touch the napkin. I want to get rid of this hard edge. So with a little wet brush, I just move on this edge and try to pass and help it fade to the background and disappear. Clean it, touch the napkin. Just try to keep it disappear the edge. So we don't need to add any white in watercolor, but the bottom part of the body is purple. So the purple is bluey purple. I have blue. I can use that one. If you don't have a purple, it's okay. I have two purple, but I want to show how we can do it just the blue and red. This is blue, cobalt. For red, I'm going to use pinky red, like permanent rose, mix with it. A touch of permanent rose. That's the nice purple that we need. So in acrylic, after white color, we need to apply just a line with the purple. In watercolor, we need to keep the paper white. Just the edge, I'm going to make it a little bit wet. And then with this purple, very gently touch the bottom part of body. And the reason I make it wet, I don't want to let it move with a sharp paint into the white of the body, this part. I want to fade it to that. Because of that, first of all, I wet the paper and then add the purple color. But anytime you want to disappear the edge, you can go with just a clean brush, a little touch the napkin, reduce the amount of water, and just move on and disappear the edge. I have Payne's gray for that. It's a grayish color, but it's so dark and I can use it as a black. But if you don't have a Payne's gray in watercolor or even in acrylic, you can use brown mixed with blue, like that. The one that we make, it's already dark. Small brush, very gently try to make this circle. And I keep the paper white because I want to show this shine. So I'm not adding any paint on that. Sometimes it's not easy, so you can cover it and then add the white on top by acrylic. Now the beak, it's so narrow and tiny on a tip. Very gently, we need small brush to shape it like that. Tip of brush is so useful. And if you want to have narrow line, you need to control your hand. Touch somewhere, like put your hand on the paper, and even you can use this finger, small finger, or even if you work on in front of easel, you can use mouse stick to lay down your hand on it and control for drawing. Now we move on for the tail. We can go with this color, which is dark, or we can go with brown and blue. Very simply, I just add a tone on tail. And shape it look like that. This is about the tail. I'm not adding the foot now. We can do that, right? Or even we can wait adding the branch and then add the foot. Just two oval line like that, parallel with each other. Just you can place like this. And then be careful to add the branch on a way that it's... I have enough water in the brush like that. It's enough. Even if you feel that it's a lots of water, always napkin, it's easy to have it and then touch like that to control the amount of water. So start from this part. I want to show that the bottom part of the body is on top of the branch. So one branch is here, very gently, and this is not much narrow, it's thick. It's okay. Even you can come again and back to cover it more. Add on top. Make it thicker because this part is thick. And even on top as well. Slowly I come like that. When you have enough water, it's come like this. If you have not much water, dry brush stroke is visible. It's okay, I'm happy with it. But if you want to fill it, again, back to the paint. Start and try to fill it. From this way, I just try to make it like a broken line, not really curvy. And then when I go further, try to make narrow line like that. Less pressure in my hand. Try to gently touch the paper, very less pressure. And that helped me to have brush a little bit narrow. So and there is one trick we can use. We don't need to be worried about the thickness. We just can cover it by berries. Make it busy as much as you like. watery, but it's not enough. If I add this one on the background, it's not work. So I just add more water into the brush. Very less. If you work with acrylic, you can do with watery brush stroke and let it blend very nicely into the background. If we work with watercolor, we can do some technique. First of all, clean brush. On a part that we want to show that it's fade to the background, just with clean or even a little bit red, it's okay to have. Just try to add a tone, watery tone here on somewhere. A little bit bigger than the size that we need to make. And then apply with this, like that, spread it. It's just play and move to the background. Or even play with your brush like this to help it fade to the background. It's happened the same in acrylic. You can go with really watery brush stroke and let it fade into background. You can do some of them like that and even touch the edge with just a clean and wet brush to make it disappear. Everywhere you want to have the fade cherries, we can do the same technique. Or even just with the circle-y shape, it's okay. Fade it to the background. It doesn't need to be like that always. We have some technique like this, which is hold the brush like that. Spread some dot on surface, but it's not the same. Then we can use this one and make it spread everywhere. This time I want to use the dry brush, not the wet one. It's something else. For the wet, we need to fade it to the background. Now we want to have dark color. Less water, more pigment. These two are the same color. Both are red, but this one is watery and light. This one is pure and dark. I'm not adding any white color or any like the brown color on top. I just go with the pure red. So it's not much big on the size. I can go start with this one. Pressure with each other. Just circle shape close together. You can add close. Even it's darker than this. So we can go with the red. I'm going to mix a little bit alizarin crimson or permanent rose to make it darker. Or even purple. I don't want to have black in the red to make it dark. You can go with pure red. And if you want to make it darker, just a touch of purple or alizarin crimson. Make it warmer. Some berries are darker, some lighter. So make this nice and clean circle shape touch of brown. That should be dry as well. So always napkin can come and help us to have dry brush. I'm going to add tiny line on the edge of this. Really tiny. It doesn't need to be visible actually. It's really narrow, pointy, tiny line to show that these are connect together or show the shape of berries. I hope it's berry. I don't know exactly the name. So I just used the swart narrow brush. We need a tiny touch. We don't need a lot. Very gently. These berries should be dry and very less. We need to just touch it with the white. I hope it's visible. It's a small part. Look at this really tiny touch I add here. I can add one here like this, one here like that. I don't need to add a lot everywhere, just some of them would be okay. It's dry, so clean it. Back to this paint. Even if you work with acrylic, it's the same. There's no difference. Just really gently dot. I'm going to add on some of them. Randomly, you can choose some of them and add this beautiful shine on it. I don't want to make it busy on all.